The unexamined life is not worth living. People love big quotes, the kind you hang on walls, share online, and quickly forget. But some sentences are not meant to decorate your life, they are meant to disturb it. This is one of them. The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates was not offering comfort, he was issuing a challenge. He was not saying, be happy, he was saying, thinker, don't call it living. Why questioning feels dangerous. Questioning disrupts order. It shakes habits. It pulls people out of comfort. Most people would rather live a familiar wrong life than face an uncomfortable truth. Because questioning demands something difficult. Accepting that you may be wrong, letting go of ideas you built your identity on. Realizing that many beliefs are inherited, not chosen, and that is heavy. So most people don't question. They repeat, they inherit, they comply. Socrates had a word for that. It wasn't life. It was maintenance. Tradition without reason decay. Tradition matters. The past matters. The old ways exist for a reason, but Socrates draws a hard line. Tradition without reason rots. Just because something has always been done doesn't mean it should continue. My father believed this. Everyone thinks this way. It's been like this for centuries. These are not reasons. They are escapes. And Socrates' most dangerous question was simple. Why? That single word has always been enough to unsettle individuals and entire societies. Socrates didn't sell answers. Socrates wasn't a lecturer. He didn't hand out truths. He famously said, I know that I know nothing. This wasn't humility. It was strategy. He asked questions, then more questions, till people realized something terrifying. They weren't as certain as they thought. That's why he wasn't loved. People forgive ignorance. They rarely forgive being exposed to it. Questioning requires courage, not intelligence. Questioning is not about being smart. It's about being brave, because questioning comes with consequences. Isolation, rejection, being labeled dangerous. Socrates faced all of it. He was accused of corrupting the youth, of disrespecting tradition, of threatening order. His real crime, teaching people how to think, and he paid for it with his life. Truth has always had a price. The crowd is always the easy path. The unexamined life is rarely lonely. It's surrounded by crowds, shared opinions, shared outrage, shared silence. But being surrounded does not mean being right. For Socrates, the majority was never a measure of truth, because crowds seek comfort. Truth demands friction, and questioning creates it. What does an unexamined life look like? It looks like this. Decisions made from borrowed beliefs, fears chosen by someone else, dreams inherited, not discovered. One day, a person stops and asks, was this ever really my life? Socrates warns us before that moment arrives. Because unanswered questions don't disappear. They return as answers given by others, and those answers rarely serve you. Why this still matters today. Thousands of years have passed. Technology changed. Societies changed. Human nature did not. We still live among ready-made opinions, packaged truths, loud certainty, and quiet thinking. And questioning still makes people uncomfortable. Does not obey blindly. Thinks before following. Every era tries to silence its Socrates. Final words. Questioning may disturb your peace, but avoiding it destroys your integrity. The easy path is always available. The meaningful one is not. Socrates leaves us with this warning. A life that is never questioned is not truly lived, because what defines a human being is not the answers they repeat, but the questions they dare to ask. Have you ever had a conversation that completely changed the way you see the world? A moment where a simple question unlocked a new level of understanding? If so, you've experienced the power of a philosophical tradition that started over 2,000 years ago in the bustling streets of ancient Athens, with a man who claimed to know only one thing, that he knew nothing. This is the story of Socrates, the gadfly of Athens, and his revolutionary idea that the unexamined life is not worth living. Let's travel back in time to the 5th century BC. Athens was the cradle of democracy, a vibrant hub of art, culture, and intellectual curiosity. The Parthenon stood majestically on the Acropolis. Playwrights like Sophocles and Euripides captivated audiences in grand amphitheaters, and thinkers from all over the Greek world gathered in the Agora, the central marketplace, to debate the biggest questions of life. It was a golden age, but it was also a time of profound change and uncertainty. The Peloponnesian War with Sparta had shaken the city's confidence, and traditional values were being questioned. Into this dynamic world walked Socrates. Unlike the sophists, the paid teachers of rhetoric who promised to make men successful, Socrates offered something different. He wasn't handsome, he wasn't wealthy, and he didn't write a single word down. Instead, he wandered the Agora, barefoot and simply dressed, engaging everyone from powerful statesmen to humble craftsmen in conversation. He had a unique mission: to challenge people's assumptions and expose the gaps in their knowledge. This brings us to his famous Socratic method. It sounds complex, but it's beautifully simple. It's a form of cooperative dialogue based on asking and answering questions. Imagine you claimed, "Courage is standing your ground in battle." Socrates would gently ask, "But what if a strategic retreat is the wisest, and therefore most courageous, action?" He wouldn't give you the answer. Instead, through a series of probing questions, he'd help you dismantle your own definition, revealing its flaws and pushing you toward a deeper, more nuanced understanding. This process, known as alankas, was designed to strip away false confidence and lead to a state of aporia, healthy confusion that opens the door to genuine learning. It wasn't about winning an argument, it was about the shared pursuit of truth. Socrates believed this process of self-examination was the key to virtue. He famously argued that no one knowingly does wrong. If we truly understood what was good, we would naturally do it. For him, ignorance was the root of all evil, and knowledge, true self-knowledge, was the path to a good and meaningful life. This was a radical idea. It shifted the focus of philosophy from the nature of the cosmos to the nature of the human soul. But not everyone was a fan of this relentless questioning. Imagine being a respected general or a powerful politician and having this eccentric man in the middle of the marketplace publicly show you that you don't really know what you're talking about, while many young Athenians, including his most famous student, Plato, were captivated by his intellect and integrity. Many powerful figures saw him as a threat. They accused him of being a public nuisance, a corrupter of the youth, and someone who didn't believe in the city's gods. This tension culminated in one of history's most infamous trials. In 399 BC, at the age of 70, Socrates was put on trial for his life. The charges were impiety and corrupting the youth. Plato's account of the trial, the apology, shows us a man who refused to back down. He could have apologized, proposed a small fine, or even accepted exile. Instead, he defended his life's work with unwavering conviction. He argued that he was a gift from the gods to Athens, a gadfly sent to sting the lazy horse of the state into action, to keep it from falling into a complacent slumber. He told the jury that they would harm themselves more than him by silencing a voice of critical inquiry. His defiance sealed his fate. The jury of 501 Athenian citizens found him guilty. When asked to propose his own penalty, Socrates, with a touch of irony, suggested that he'd be rewarded with free meals for life at the state's expense for his service to the city. Unamused, the jury sentenced him to death by drinking hemlock, a poison, even in his final hours. Surrounded by his grieving friends, Socrates remained calm, discussing the nature of the soul and the afterlife. He faced death not with fear, but with the same philosophical curiosity that had defined his life. So why does this ancient story still matter so much today? Because the legacy of Socrates is the very foundation of Western thought. His student, Plato, preserved and expanded upon his ideas, and Plato's student, Aristotle, went on to systematize vast areas of human knowledge. This direct lineage, Socrates to Plato to Aristotle, shaped philosophy, science, and ethics for millennia. Every time a scientist forms a hypothesis and tests it, every time a lawyer cross-examines a witness, every time a student raises their hand to ask why, they are channeling the spirit of Socrates. His method teaches us that questioning is not a sign of weakness, but the engine of growth. On a personal level, asking ourselves tough questions. What do I truly value? Are my beliefs really my own, or just inherited? How can I be a better person? Is how we achieve self-awareness and lead more authentic lives. It's the difference between living on autopilot and living with intention. On a societal level, the Socratic spirit is the lifeblood of a healthy democracy. Progress doesn't come from blind obedience or unquestioning acceptance of authority. It comes from citizens who dare to ask if there's a better way, who challenge injustice, and who hold their leaders accountable. Societies that suppress questions, that punish dissent, are societies that stagnate. Socrates' death is a stark reminder of the dangers of dogmatism and the courage it takes to stand for intellectual freedom. So, the next time you encounter a belief you hold dear, try being your own Socrates. Ask yourself why you believe it. Test its foundations. See if it holds up to scrutiny. It might feel uncomfortable, but this is where real learning happens. Socrates left us with a timeless challenge: to have the courage to question everything, especially ourselves, because a life filled with inquiry is a life that is truly worth living. Thanks for watching. If this story sparked your curiosity, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more journeys into the ideas that shaped our world. See you next time.